Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's a whole lot of money in this smoke. It's a whole lot of money in this smoke. Ain't gon' keep me run no broke, that broke get old. Ain't gon' keep me run no get too bold. I'm allergic to that note, my wrist game on cold. I might pick my coupe white just to match with my toes. Yeah, I can't wear the you bitches wear because it's cheap to me. It's some money at my table, grab a seat with me. Cost a ticket just to cover all my legal fees. I don't hang with jealous, that's a weak disease. Hold on, run up. If you're broken in my business, then just shut up. I invested in my body, I'm done up. I look good, I like to I'm when the sun up. I put on my jewelry just to go to the bodega. And I keep it with me just so that I'm feeling safer. Fendi on my body, but my feet is in Bottega. I'm getting money, give a about a haters.
Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses, highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs, and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
Somehow I think Mayor Manning is going to be very surprised that is the new theme song for the Hawthorne Business Expo and Job Fair, which is taking place tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'll be hosting. It's at the Hawthorne Memorial Center. If you haven't been there, stop by 3901 West El Segundo Boulevard in Hawthorne. You can register online at hawthornebusinessexpo.org. O-R-G. And in the spirit of entrepreneurship, we are starting off our Wealth Building Wednesday with that message. We have a special guest joining us in the studio right now. She's a creator, innovator, entrepreneur, mama, and wife. Yes, they can all go together. And she is a business owner, most known for her jaw-dropping celebrity and television weddings. She's an industry veteran. She's got clientele across 4 continents, servicing corporate clients and high net worth individuals. And she's a managing partner of Glow and Flow Beauty. Diann Valentine, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So nice to meet you.
You too. Finally.
Yeah.
You're an icon in our community.
Thank you. I think, and as are you.
Thank you.
To be honest, I should have, I would have gone more high fashion if I would have been thinking this through a little better. So tell me about Glow and Flow Beauty.
Glow and Flow Beauty is a beauty retail location. We have 2 businesses. We have one in Inglewood and we also have one in Hawthorne. Hawthorne is our newest location. But essentially, we are reimagining the shopping experience for Black and brown women within their own communities.
Okay.
You know, traditionally speaking, when you think about beauty supply, you think about the neighborhood mom and pop shop on the corner, likely Korean owned or Asian owned. Not very attractive, not very inviting, not necessarily the best shopping experience, but convenient.
Right.
And so we're shifting that, and we're creating a space where Black and brown women feel at home.
I mean, that's really nice. It's nice to feel at home. I remember we were in Ghana one time when we rolled up in this shopping village. It was closing. And all the merchants saw a busload full of African Americans. They opened back their stores up. No, come in. We're open. We're open.
Right.
And some of us were near tears because we're so used to being not welcomed,
right,
being followed around, being not valued as customers.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Well, I think that we are in, a shift in beauty that's been happening for a while. So there are so many Black beauty founders that have founded, product lines and doing very, very well. And Monique Rodriguez is at the top of the food chain, with Mael and all that she has accomplished. But in addition to just being beauty founders, we're also business owners. We're also retail owners. We're also shifting that shopping experience and taking back the industry that we built. We built the industry And the industry has been built on the backs of Black women in our own communities. I think it's about time we own it too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But, one of the things that I find really interesting about your glowandflowbeauty.com, by the way, glowandflowbeauty.com, we can all spell glow and flow, is that you have this emphasis on, fancy top-level brands, but in elevating the customers, which we're used to when we think couture, high fashion, beauty. Right. But then you also have community, and we don't always think of that when we think of the top of the line.
And when you think about luxury products, that's really not our product mix. Our product mix is everything that Black and brown women buy every day when they go to Target or, from Amazon.
When we used to go to Target.
When you used to go to Target. I forgot. Or Amazon or wherever it is that people shop for their beauty products. It's those same products. But I think that unfortunately, Black and brown women are not used to a great experience in their own community.
Yeah.
They're used to having to drive to the West Side, drive outside of their community to find something beautiful, nice, and respected.
Right. Drive outside our own community and then get followed around the store.
Yes.
So you got two options. You can stay in your community and get followed around the store.
Right.
Or you can go to
another community
and get
the same happens.
A more fancy store.
Exactly.
That you can get followed around.
Exactly. And that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. So that's where the emphasis on community comes from.
Yeah. We're an everyday staple in neighborhoods. I remember when our businesses really took off, at least from the retail perspective, it was during the George Floyd assassination. We all watched it. And there was a stronger consciousness, I believe, in our community that we wanted to build community again. And it was a great time, and it really showed us that there was such a void in our own communities, about where women could just go and be together and commune together. And I thought about, the neighborhoods that I grew up on, where I knew everybody. I knew the guy that owned the liquor store on the corner because I would go in and get penny candy. And he knew my father and he knew my mother. So it was a real community. And I started thinking, is it possible to bring that back? Is it possible to create a space where Black boys might be in the parking lot playing their music too loud and we don't call the police?
Right.
We just go outside and say, you know what? Can you turn that down?
Right. Don't make me call your mom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love the combination of community with couture or whatever it is you call that high-end beauty, because you do work with a lot of celebrities. So tell me how that came to be and how your iconic brand sort of journey happened.
Beauty was a natural transition, if you will, or a nice assimilation in my career because, I'm a fancy girl. I like hair, I like makeup, I like clothes, I like all things luxury. So beauty has always been a part of my life and a part of my brand. So it was really a natural transition. But, in the space that I'm in as a designer, I work for a few very, very, very wealthy girls a year, and only a few. And I thought, as fulfilling as it is for me as a designer, it's not fulfilling in the way that I feel like I'm not creating a legacy. I'm not leaving anything behind. All I'm doing is servicing a very, very small part of our community. And so I started thinking about, how could I really do something differently that will be legacy driven, that will be impactful, not for just a few other fancy girls a year, but for a whole community of Black and brown girls around the country. And beauty is how we settled on beauty.
I love that because, fancy girls can be everywhere. They might not be wealthy girls.
Right. Absolutely.
Some of us are just born that way.
Absolutely.
With or without, the funds to go with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you have as an iconic Black woman in a number of different spaces, you have been able to, I don't want to call it pivot because it doesn't seem like a pivot. You've been able to plant your flag, let me put it that way, in a lot of different arenas within the sort of entertainment, beauty.
It's true.
Almost like I don't want to say influencer because it sounds too trivial, but you are kind of an influencer.
I guess to some degree.
Yeah.
I think that, throughout my career, I have followed a lot of people that have done really great things. And I don't mean follow on social media. I mean follow, in terms of watching them move, watching the moves that they make. People like Jay-Z and Russell Simmons and, the great icons in our community that started with one thing and then reinvented themselves and then reinvented themselves again and then reinvented themselves again and again and again and again. And I just realized that that's how you build a legacy, is you don't get pigeonholed into one thing, a la Beyonce, right? But you go from one genre to the next and you keep being excellent in every genre that you're in. And that's how you ultimately grow something great.
That it's like the late great James Brown used to say, "You don't need you to give me nothing, just open the door. I'll get it myself."
That's it. And sometimes the doors don't open; you got to kick them down.
Yeah, right. Don't open the door. I'm still coming. I'm still coming. Can you stay with me for a bit longer?
Sure.
This morning, I'd love to continue the conversation. We're talking with iconic creator, innovator, entrepreneur. It doesn't say influencer, but sometimes, you're pioneering a thing and you don't even mean to. Diann Valentine is with me on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one. The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Diann Valentine is with me in the studio. She's managing partner of Glow and Flow Beauty. And Hawthorne is your latest location. So where can we find you and what will we find there at Glow and Flow Hawthorne?
Glow and Flow is located at 4361 West Rosecrans. We're right on the corner of Hawthorne Boulevard and Rosecrans, and we're in the same parking lot as Dunkin' Donuts. And what we like to call it is a fantasy fun factory for all the fun, fly, and flirty girls.
Okay, I'll be right over.
Yes, it's your traditional beauty supply, but really it's not. Nothing about it is traditional. We created the space again to have a space where Black and brown women feel at home. We're in the process. We're working on getting a food and beverage license. Once we do, we're going to beta test a cafe inside of the store.
Oh, that's so cute.
We believe that mixed-use retail is the future. In order for brick and mortar retail to survive, you have to give people more than one reason to come out.
Yeah.
So we're working to do that. We also have a beauty bar because we released a line of non-toxic, itch-free synthetic braiding hair called Slayy.
What?
Yes, it's so exciting.
So this is braiding hair that's not going to cause cancer.
Correct.
Make your scalp itch. Have
Correct.
weird items in it that are unidentifiable.
That you can't pronounce.
I mean, those consumer reports, studies that came out, made me just want to shave my head.
I know. And the interesting thing is we started developing it during COVID. And it's really because I was wearing braids nonstop. Salons were closed. Nobody was working. And my scalp was on fire. I mean, it was itching. It was red. It was scabbing. I was starting to get bald spots. I thought maybe I had alopecia or maybe I had psoriasis. And then I started to just talking to our customers. And one by one, all of them were like, oh, yeah, the hair. It's so toxic. You have to take it home and you need to soak it in apple cider vinegar and then you need to wash it with shampoo. And then you should soak it again just in case. And I was just like, this don't make no sense. It was like Black women built this whole industry and we have to, rectify this product after we take it home. And then my frustration turned to anger. And I just said, why are Black women so conditioned to suffer in silence? Why do we just take it? We take it in so many ways, in the workplace, sometimes at home, in the hands of domestic violence. But what I know is that we are conditioned to accept bad conditions.
And then fix them.
Absolutely.
And then find a hack.
Absolutely.
Because, it's funny you'd say that. That's exactly what my stylist told me about hair. No, you can't just put that hair in your head.
Yeah.
You're going to have to soak it in vinegar, wash it in shampoo, soak it in vinegar again, hang it out in the sunlight.
It's horrible.
Pray over it.
Right. It's horrible.
What makes Slayy Hair different?
We spent 2 years developing what's now affectionately known as a Slayy secret sauce. And we use a frail fiber by Kanekalon. A lot of people think Kanekalon is the fiber. Kanekalon is not. Kanekalon is a company, a Japanese company that creates fibers. So we use one of their most premium line of fiber called a frail. And we take the frail fiber and we develop the technology that at the manufacturing level, we strip it. So we strip it down to its most rawest form. And when we do that, what you end up with is a softer, silkier, shinier, more lightweight braid that is non-toxic and completely itch-free.
And where can we get the Slayy braid?
Thankfully, you can get it at Glow and Flow Beauty in Inglewood and Hawthorne. Also, our website is slayhair.com, and that's Slayy with 3 Y's, hair.com. But I will say this, more importantly, Slayy has been growing so quickly. We're available in about 40 Black-owned beauty supply stores around the country. We have nationwide distribution in TJ Maxx and Marshalls.
Oh, wow.
We launched in Target on February 3rd.
Sorry, girl.
So we're available in Targets
Don't go there and get
around the country. We're preparing to launch in Walmart. We are negotiating with major retailers in the UK and Australia and Canada, and we are scheduled to go into a retailer in Uganda in a couple of months.
That's amazing. I've heard from other people in the beauty supply, beauty chain, somewhere along the beauty supply chain, that it's not that easy as a Black business owner to get into those stores, to get into those supply chain spots.
It's definitely not easy. I won't say it's a walk in the park, but the thing about the beauty industry, particularly Black beauty industry, is that it's a cash and carry business. So you need money to play. You just do. And you need a lot of money to play in the retail space in black beauty and manufacturing. Thankfully, I had a lucrative career when we made the transition into beauty. But, aside from that, I've been trained my whole life to be excellent. I have been trained to be the best. And the best is relative, right? Because my bar for the best is just to be better Diann today than I was yesterday. Right. So that's how I determine the best. But my whole career has prepared me for this. So I was so ready when it came. Like was intentional. We're building a legacy that can leave behind, that's going to do good, that's going to now reach thousands of black and brown women and not just a few fancy girls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my intentions were very clear. I won't say it was easy, but I felt and still feel confident about the products that we're producing. I know that they're clean. I know they're safer. And I know the amount of money that black and brown women spend on these products annually. So I'm just offering them an opportunity to do better.
Right. So when we buy the Slayy hair, we don't have to soak it in apple cider vinegar, shampoo it, and then soak it again.
Ma'am, that is foolishness. That's ridiculous. And what I don't understand is that the industry, which has been dominated by another community, it's been like this forever, and no one has fixed it. No one has addressed it. And this is what I often say, is that I don't think other communities hate us. I really don't. I don't think they hate us. But in black beauty, it's really clear that they have no moral compass. They're not taking these products home and giving them to their daughters and putting them in their wives' hair. They're not doing that. So they're not attached to the ill, fate of the women that wear these products. Their number one thing is, let's make it as cheap as possible. Because if it's cheap, black women will buy it. And they have been right.
Cheap. We'll buy it. But this I also know about us. If it's better, we'll buy it too.
We'll buy it too.
Like, you can get us with cheap, and then our heads itch for a few decades, but here comes better. We're going with better.
Better and cancer free, right?
Yeah,
because
that's much
cancer
better.
is rampant in our community, and there's no answers as to why.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think
there are
we
answers,
know there's
but
all these toxic products. I mean, we're talking about hair, but there's the relaxers and the dyes and so many toxic.
And food.
Yeah, so many
it's just so many toxic things. So, I always say, when you get cancer, nobody says, oh, you got it from this. They just say you got it, now you need chemo, and now you're dying a slow, painful death. Right? So my thing is, like, if we just start removing toxins from our lives one at a time, we better the odds.
We were talking about this yesterday on Earth Day. Just give your body a chance. The body will heal. The body will protect you. But we got to give it some opportunities here. Hopefully I can lure you back to because I know you're also a relationship expert. You've done some work in the space. Maybe you'll come back on a Messy Monday. I'm so glad to know about Slayy Hair. .com, SLAYYY hair.com, and Flow and Glow Beauty in Hawthorne. There's one in Inglewood. We can also buy that stuff online, though, right?
Yes.
If we're somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people for many years have been complaining to me on the radio that they want to buy black-owned beauty supply stuff, items.
We hear that a lot. I would challenge our community because it's not convenient to buy black.
Right.
It requires effort.
Hello.
It requires effort. When we launched Slayy in Target, I still get beat up, right? The timing was such that we launched like a week after they announced the DEI rollbacks that we had no idea about.
Right. And you already had your whole
It was a year in the making.
Right.
The deal was a year in the making. I had no idea they were rolling back anything. And we are not in Target because of DEI. They had those programs for women-owned and minority-owned businesses. That's not how we got in. We got in because we met a buyer. We started pitching. We worked it. We kept working it. We kept following up. And then she finally said yes and took a chance on us. So it was an insult to say that I was our product was in Target only because of DEI, because that was not true. But, we've gotten beat up so much about having our product in Target.
Interesting.
And the reality is that we sell more packs of Slayy on Amazon.com than we do on SlayHair.com. So which one do you want? Do you want to support community or do you want convenience? Because I'm saying I understand you want convenience.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think I'm a convenience junkie, and a lot of us are. But if we have values that we say we stand for, then we have to be willing to either pay a little more or make a little more effort. How much more effort is it, though, to go to flowandglow.com or just go to Hawthorne or Inglewood if you're in the left coast side of town?
Very simple.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Congratulations on all that you're doing. What do you want to leave us with this morning, Diann Valentine?
I believe that Black and brown women are the cornerstones of our community. We are the unsung heroes. We are the fancy, fly, and flirty girls. And it's time that we stand up and resume our crowns.
Yes. Don't drop that crown for sure. And I appreciate the conversation. I can't wait to get my fancy behind over to Flow Beauty and see what y'all got going on there. It's in Hawthorne at 4361 West Rosecrans near the Dunkin' Donuts over there, and in Inglewood, 933 North La Brea in the city of Inglewood. We've got news, traffic, and sports. Then it's the perfect time to call me, KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson formed a working group to address the city's budget gap facing billion-dollar deficits due to rising costs. The city's financial situation may worsen if federal aid is cut. President Trump says undocumented immigrants should be deported without trials, claiming countries like Venezuela and Congo sent prisoners to the U.S. The Supreme Court paused deportations of accused Venezuelan gang members for due process. Trump spoke to reporters in the Oval Office on Tuesday. Stocks rallied yesterday with the Dow gaining over 1,000 points on reports of a tariff de-escalation with China. Major averages surged over 2%, erasing Monday's losses. And Kendrick Lamar is Chanel's new brand ambassador for their Spring 2025 eyewear campaign that launched yesterday. Lamar said Chanel has a timeless legacy, and that's something he can always get behind. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Experience adventure at Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. Ride the world's largest rotating tram car. Explore over 50 miles of scenic trails in pristine wilderness. Dine at 8,500 feet with awe-inspiring views and get that perfect souvenir. Adventure at its peak. Learn more at pstramway.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got it done last night and they flexed their muscles in the process. In a very physical game at Crypto.com, 46 fouls were called. The Lakers beat up Minnesota 94-85 to even up their first-round series at a game apiece. Another strong performance for Luka Doncic, 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. LeBron finished with 21 points. The Lakers were perfect from the free throw line, making all 20 of their attempts. A major factor in the Lakers' win was their perimeter defense. In Game 1, Minnesota made 21 three-pointers. They made only 5 of 25 last night. On nearly every attempt, a Lakers defender had a hand in their face at the three-point line. The next 2 games are in Minneapolis. Game 3 is Friday night. Let's see if the Lakers can maintain this newfound defensive intensity. Game 3 for the Clippers in Denver is Thursday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at quinemanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Wasn't that lovely? We've had a nice break from all things Trump this morning, starting out with a powerful conversation between two women who have really, dedicated their lives now to giving back and then meeting this businesswoman. Of course, do not forget, I will be at the Hawthorne Business Expo tomorrow from 3 to 7 at the Hawthorne Memorial Center, 3901 West El Segundo. Mayor Pro Tem Katrina Manning will be there. She's hosting the whole thing. I'm moderating it. This is a job fair, so you could actually bring your resume, come dressed for success, and apply for a job on the spot. You could also network, meet a lot of cool people, including some folks that you might not have access to every day. There's going to be panel discussions, expert advice. Looking forward to hosting a panel with Lawrence Dobson, the Grammy Award-winning producer from, he's the CEO of 1500 or Nothing. He's worked with the best of the best, including Beyonce. This is all free. You can go to hawthornebusinessexpo.org, hawthornebusinessexpo.org, or give them a call, 310-349-2913, 310-349-2913. I had so much fun there last year. Looking forward to being there with you tomorrow. So, it's a great time to call me if you want to do so. Next hour, more inspiration, women on the move, powerful young people speaking their minds, and looking forward to that. Let the gangbanging begin. By that, I'm talking about inside of the Catholic Church, as the cardinals are apparently lining up to fight. Well, not literally, like it's not going to be WWE, but they are going to be jockeying to see who will be the next pope and what it says about the future of the Catholic Church, which you might not think that much about it if you're not Catholic, but it's hugely influential on millions of people worldwide. And of course, the cardinals are the ones that vote on the next pope. You have to be under 80 if you want to have a say in this. But it's one of those things that shapes people beyond the church, because the church's policies about LGBTQ plus people, about premarital sex, whether or not priests can be married, whether or not people's marriages are going to be recognized in the church. All of these things have an outsized influence on what happens beyond the church. Pope Francis will be laid to rest on Saturday in St. Peter's Square. According to the Vatican, hundreds of thousands of people are going to show up to this funeral. And this man did take the church in a markedly different direction, focusing on helping the poor, including everybody, and bringing the church into the current day. That could change. And given what is happening on the world stage, it seems likely that it will, although I must admit I don't know the politics of the Catholic Church on the inside. The Pope died of a stroke on Monday at the age of 88, less than a day after leading an Easter address. Thousands of people are already in Vatican City with flowers and crosses and candles. They're praying. And the world leaders will be out in mass on Saturday. Donald Trump is expected to go. The Prince of Wales, the President of Brazil, which of course has one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Catholic population in the world. So this is going to be a whole period of adjustment and change in the world and in the policies of the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, just catching you up on some other headlines. As I invite you in, 800-920-1580. Is it my imagination, or does it seem like we're seeing more mass shootings in other countries? It used to only be the U.S. most of the time, unless it was a terror attack on a government building. They're blaming militants in India and in Kashmir. 26 people killed at a tourist location there, at least 17 people injured. And the government there is pledging a strong response. We'll see what that looks like. That could shut tourism down for a long time to come. But also interesting to see, interesting might not be the right word, ironic, to see how other countries respond to these mass shootings. We kind of shrug and go thoughts and prayers. Next. We're used to it. That's not a good thing. It's not something you want to be used to. I think it would be nice if we could take a page out of other countries' books and say, you know what can we do to make this not happen anymore? Health Secretary Robert Kennedy announcing yesterday that the Food and Drug Administration and the Department of Health and Human Services is going to ban petroleum-based artificial food dyes from the nation's food supply. He says it's part of his Make America Healthy agenda. And what's so bizarre and confusing about this guy, RFK, and his Health and Human Services company department is that it's a combination of the worst ideas you've ever heard in your life and some that are really great. And it's very trying because at the same time we've got diseases spreading and we're shutting down our connection with all of the world bodies of health, the National Institute of Health being defunded while measles is spreading. Things like this are happening, which are actually probably the wildest dreams of many in the holistic health community. Petroleum-based anything is not meant for human consumption. It's not meant to be put on our skin. You guys know I risk the revocation of my black card all the time by telling you not to put Vaseline on your skin. Petroleum products belong in your gas tank, not in our food chain, not in our skincare products. They are revoking their authorization of red dye number 3, which is made from petroleum. And so silver lining time, I guess, because I know plenty of people in the holistic health space who actually celebrated RFK becoming HHS secretary. I do not, because I don't think the return of polio, measles, and whatever other, the rise of Mpox is worth the victories on the holistic health side. But we're here now. And so I do celebrate this as a victory. I think that if this guy with his bipolar approach to holistic health does a few good things, let's celebrate them. So yay, something good came out of the current HHS department. There's the upside to what some people say, just blow it all up. Just let them blow it all up, because maybe we'll rebuild something better. I'm not quite on that page yet, but I am going to keep us abreast of things that happen that are on the good side. Here's another thing I would consider good news. Elon Musk says he'll be spending a little less time in Washington, cutting jobs with his chainsaw at Doge. He's decided he needs to spend more time on Tesla because his company's profits took a literal nosedive. He was slashing your jobs and his company's profit margin at the same time. Of course, he's going to spin it as, now the major work of establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done, so I can allocate far more of my time to Tesla. But dude, you don't need a data chart showing your profits diving. You don't need an outside consultant. I could have told you that if you are supposed to be running not just one, not just two, but at least 3 or 4 major corporations, you don't have time to spend your life hating and ruining the lives of others by cutting their jobs. He says he's going to just spend a day or 2 a week on government matters. Why not every other week, Elon? Your company needs you. And they're struggling to sell cars right now. There's protests at dealerships all over the world. So some of it is not just you spending your time at work, which is what you want your workers to do, why you're insisting they come into work in person, as you should, which won't leave you time to fly back to Washington once a week. But it's also because the work that you're doing is causing a corporate image that has made your sales tumble by 13%. It is the image of you cutting other people's jobs, of you cutting out the competition, of you illegally and immorally taking consumer data and using it to give your company an investment and competitive edge that is unethical. It is you stealing data that shouldn't even belong to you and getting reports on our Pentagon plans that give you a leg up for SpaceX. It is you knocking out inspectors general and others who would hold you accountable for your corporate malfeasance. People don't like it. So how about this? Stay out of Washington altogether. SpaceX needs you. Tesla needs you. The Boring Company needs you. Heck, even your kids might need you, and they might need a break from hanging out with Uncle Orange. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. I am just here for you, catching up on a few of the 12 kinds of crazy that are happening around the world, but also opening the platform to you like we always do at KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. LA property owners, join us to house more veterans. By accepting veteran housing vouchers, you will receive guaranteed rent while providing a stable and safe home that will make a difference in their lives. Help house our heroes. Expedited processing and dedicated support for property owners is available because every veteran deserves a place to call home. Email houseuurvets@lacity.org, HOUSEOURVETS @lacity.org for more information.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
I've dug up a bunch of encouraging news for you this morning. Wanted to mention it yesterday, but Harvard University is suing the Trump administration. Why? They're saying that the freezing of those federal grants, the billions of dollars they're withholding from Harvard University, as Harvard rejected its demands for them to basically be the puppet masters of that prestigious university. They're saying that was illegal. And I love that Harvard, which is the world's wealthiest university, is standing up to the Trump administration. The White House says the gravy train of federal assistance is coming to an end, but by gravy train of federal assistance, they mean research into cancer, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, pediatric cancer, all of these things being impacted. So when we look at, Penn or Columbia or any of these universities that the Trump administration is defunding, a lot of the times those are dollars that are going for public research, not as some kind of charitable donation to the university itself, but because some of the world's top scholars and minds, academic minds, are there, and they are working on cures, solutions, studies that will benefit the public at large. So apparently the Trump administration does not understand that, or they don't care about the public at large. So now they're threatening, of course, the tax-exempt status of the university and threatening to not let them enroll international students, which could be the downfall of a bunch of our universities because they rely on the fees, the large amounts of money that foreign students pay, all of which goes back to this idea that they don't care, or they don't get it, or maybe both. So an email went out to immigration attorneys from the U.S. We talked about that a couple days ago, telling them to leave the U.S. or the federal government will find you. Apparently, it wasn't just one. It was sent to a number of immigration attorneys who are U.S. citizens born in the United States. And that is causing us to freak out. Now the administration is saying that was, oops, we didn't mean to do it. That was an accident. I wonder if these are fear and intimidation tactics. The deportations that are going on, the harassment of student organizers, not just immigrant ones, but citizens, children who are born and raised here. They are saying, the Department of Homeland Security is saying, whoops, we didn't mean to do this. I wonder, as they've revoked legal status for all kinds of people who were given protected status by the Biden administration, are losing that. And as we see more attacks on students who are not migrants, it certainly seemed like an alarming escalation. But now they are saying, whoopsie, we didn't mean to do that. We shall see. Tracking that. And in other encouraging, confusing news, President you-know-who saying that he's bringing those high tariffs on China down. He says they're going to come down substantially, but it won't be to zero. This was yesterday. He said that. The tariff roller coaster continues. They're at 145% now. He says it's very high. It won't be that high. It won't be anywhere near that high. It'll come down substantially. So he's backing off. I don't know if it's because the more traditional business interests around him, the Wall Street Journal type folks of the world, have pressured him, or that he's realizing that this is a losing battle. They have more leverage in a trade war than we do right now. And I'm not sure what that's about. He was responding to a question about the Treasury Secretary, that basically showed that it was amounting to an embargo between the two economies, and we were going to get the short end of that stick. Wall Street liked that announcement. We're seeing, a rally took place yesterday, but it's part of the whiplash that we are experiencing, will continue to experience. We'll see how many of these stunningly stupid policies end up being reversed or ramped down because of that. And in other seemingly encouraging news, the drumbeat to see the defense secretary step down appears to be getting louder and louder as unnamed Pentagon officials are going in on Hegseth, throwing him under the bus, even though the White House says they're standing by him. The White House press secretary seems to be lying on his behalf. Miss I Lie for a Living, Leavitt, is defending him. The president seems to be standing by him, but I don't know. Maybe, what do you think, another week? 2 weeks at the most? I think he'll be out of there. You can't, aside from the fact that he's continuously leaking stuff out on Signal, his wife is now creating controversy because when you become defense secretary, you know what your wife becomes? The wife of the defense secretary. That's it, and that's all. You don't get a position in the cabinet. You could say, well, Hillary Clinton, when she was first lady, but that's first lady is a position, and first ladies traditionally take on a portfolio of things which they decide. If you're Michelle Obama, it's, military families and making our kids eat healthier. Every first lady has a portfolio of things that they choose. Hillary Clinton tried to work on health care. That's not defense secretary's wife. It doesn't come with a title other than defense secretary's wife. So she's sitting in meetings and she's on signal chains, and all of this, I think, will hasten the demise of one very unqualified DEI style appointee, Pete Hegseth. Meanwhile, speaking of unqualified, the Secretary of State, well, he's probably one of the most qualified people in that administration, Marco Rubio's skipping a summit with Ukraine to try to ramp that down. And our unqualified vice president is saying that he, work it out or else. We're walking away from this deal. What happened to we're going to stop the war within one day? Now, J.D. Vance is saying you basically figure it out right now after Rubio didn't show up to the meeting. The vice president said, we've issued an explicit proposal. It's time for them to say yes, or else we walk away from this process. So it's diplomacy by press release, diplomacy in public. Good luck with that. It seems like starting to unravel. A lot of these things are starting to unravel, even as we are just 3 months in, 90 days in, not even the first 100 days of this presidency. Meanwhile, though, many of the egregious and not so wonderful things can continue to press forward, and that's why folks are in the streets. That's why folks are in the courts. That is why we are focusing on what we want, not what we don't want. And that is why, if you have a student loan, time to start paying attention again. Starting May 5th, the government is going back to debt collection, defaulting on student loans, and harsh and swift consequences for not paying. The era of loan forgiveness is over. It's part of the FAFO season. Is this what y'all voted for? Well, this is what you're getting. But as I said, we are pushing back, and I'm standing with those who do. I'm going to hear some youth voices when we come forward. Mama Boo's young women from the Live Yo Life organization are joining us after news, traffic, and sports, only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson formed a working group to address the city's budget gap facing billion-dollar deficits due to rising costs. The city's financial situation may worsen